Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're well. So in this video I'm just going to quickly run through an edit of a shot that I basically took yesterday for an actual client job. This is a fashion retouch. I'm not going to be going through on a step-by-step basis. So if you want something that's very slow and step-by-step with a perfect workflow, then I suggest you check out one of my other videos which are step-by-step. This is just going to be me rattling through this edit and just in the typical way that I would normally do it. You'll see how I work with layers, where I keep kind of flattening things down so we don't get a ridiculous amount of layers. And yeah, it's not going to be a speed edit and it's not going to be a step-by-step, but something in between. So this is a shot that I recently took. If you're interested in the way I shot this, the lighting and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to be putting up a video in the next few days, a behind the shot video. Subscribe if you want to check that out, put on your notifications if you are interested in seeing that. Now, just before we get into the edit, I know many people, when they bring their pictures into Camera Raw, one of the things they will check is they'll check sharpness of the picture. And if you look at the image right now, you can see it's perfectly sharp from head to toe. Everything looks nice and clear. But if you start coming in close, and we start coming in right close to the face, you'll see that actually the eye wasn't perfectly in focus on this shot, and the lips were a little bit more in focus. Essentially, I've missed the focus perfectly on that shot. Instead, you'll see the focus has been nailed here on the clothing. We're shooting at an aperture of f5.6, so that was a deep enough depth of field to actually get everything in focus. It's just the focus was a little bit off in this shot. But am I going to sit and disqualify this picture just because of that reason? Absolutely, absolutely not. And I think we get hung up way too much about sharpness. In particular, I'm not bothered about that because this image is going to go on social media. And if you cannot tell at this viewpoint, at this zoom level, that the image is not in focus, it all looks perfectly sharp, then how the hell are you going to see that difference when it goes to this size and when it goes down into a mobile phone when it's like this? Everything looks perfectly sharp. So those amongst you that like to compare sharpness of lenses and of cameras, and you come into this level and you actually use that as an indicator of whether a photograph is good or not, then you really need to get your heads checked and actually start focusing on your actual craft rather than sharpening. And I'm actually putting this little comment out there because recently I was on a forum and some photographer had posted up some lovely work, which I found really interesting, and I put on some really positive comments about his work. And you know, it wasn't perfectly sharp. I have to say it was a soft image, but the actual capture was nice, the lighting and everything. And people just wanted to really focus on the fact that it wasn't perfectly sharp, even to the point that someone actually downloaded the picture off the forum and then brought it into their own editor, zoomed into it, and then took a screenshot of a zoom at about, I don't even know what the percentage was, and said, yeah, nice image, but unfortunately it's sharp. It's not sharp, and you know, I wouldn't use it. You know, how sad and how pathetic is that? I just don't know. And photographers tend to actually suffer from this. A hell of a lot of them do anyway. Nitpicking and being extremely critical over the technical elements and totally forego the aesthetic considerations. And if you're a photographer who is more wrapped up in camera specs and those kind of things, then, you know, I generally find those types of photographers, their work is absolute garbage most of the time, because that's all they're actually focusing on. And unfortunately, YouTube is full of those types of photographers, and I'll put that in inverted commas. Many photographers out there who simply review lenses and reviews cameras, and really, if you look at their actual work that they are producing, if you can find any of the work that they're producing, it's mediocre at best, and they are actually seen as kind of experts or a leading authority on camera gear when they obviously have the gear, but they've got literally no idea. So don't be one of those photographers. Focus more on technique, on the actual consideration, especially in fashion of hair, makeup, model selection, choice of clothing, posing, lighting, viewpoint, expression. All of those things are going to far outweigh, you know, the fact that, oh, I used a Sony A7R III and it was a 50 megapixel image and it's going on Instagram, so nobody cares. Don't be one of those photographers. There seems to be far too many of them. Anyway, I'm going on and I'm ranting. So I will put a timestamp in the description, which will get you straight to this point here. So we're going to move forward. And at this point, I'm just going to be basically looking at the image. And exposure is damn good to start with because I've got that right in camera. I can pull down the highlights a little bit. Let's have a look at playing with the whites. No, I'm going to leave the white, the black, sorry, leave those where they are. Let's pull the whites down a little bit, just to give me a slightly flatter image, just to start with. And the white balance, again, I did make sure in camera that was pretty good, but I will always just play with the temperature a little bit. And I actually like it slightly warmer because it just kind of fits with the harsh sun. I'm going to open that up straight into Photoshop. Okay, here we are, ready to go. I'm going to drag up my layers over here. I'm going to go back into button mode for my actions. And yeah, I use actions. Time is money. I want to do things quick. I don't be messing about step by step. Right, and I'm going to pick up the Wacom pen. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come straight in here. And I'm going to start to clean up all this hair. So let's see. Let me get my spot healing brush 2. I'm going to pick lighten because the hair is dark and I want to make it lighter. And then I'm just going to start to brush over these areas here. I'm just going to go through that. And what I'll probably do is speed up this part on the video so you're not having to actually watch it all in one go. Now I do prefer to use this method rather than using just cloning. I will also use the clone, but I like to start off with the lighten first a little bit before I move on. I'll also do the forehead. It's here, 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 here. And I've still got lighten on. I'm just going to use that. I'm going to go around the darker areas that I just don't like. Clean all those guys up. All the way around the face, around the mouth. Anyway, I hope you guys have been enjoying the stuff that's been coming up on the channel. You might have noticed my activity has been a lot higher recently. I've had a little bit more time available. It's that time of the year where I am, where it's exceptionally hot and you know, the work slows down a little bit in terms of the freelance work. I am in education pretty much full time, so that's where the bulk of my work comes from. What I will do now is I'll just make a new layer. On the previous layer, the healing layer, I didn't actually make a new layer. I don't always make new layers. And now I'm just going to use the clone tool. I've got a hardness of 44. I tend to stick with 44 for a lot of cloning because I just find the edge softness or hardness is really good at 44. It gives a nice finish. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use the rotate tool. I'm going to rotate this because I just find it more easier to work with my wrist in this natural position rather than having to strain my wrist too much. This is going to give me a really nice clean finish around the outside. Let's come back here. That looks good. Let's just come down here as well. We'll pick up that area. Okay. Let's zoom out. Okay, nice. Let's do an F12 and do a revert so we see what we started with. Yep. Okay, good. Now, anything else? Right, white spot here in the hair. Let's clean that up. I'll just clone a bit of this in there. I don't want it to look like she's got grey hairs appearing, which is what it looks like right now. So I'll just clean that up. I will now select darken. And I will just draw over these, which will darken anything that's lighter than the area around it. I'll do the same with some of these areas. And darken some of this up here. And a little bit in here. Not all of it, just a bit. Just anywhere where it looks like bold patches or excessive highlight. You know, I want it to look like she's got a nice head of hair, which she has. She's got a beautiful head of hair. Right, let's zoom out, see what we get. And we can see here, it looks like the hair is thinning. So again, I'll just use the darken first. Let's see how that looks. Not bad. I'll get the clone stamp tool. I'll pick a 30% opacity now. And I'll just paint some of that in here, just to darken this up. Let's see how that looks. And it's getting a little bit soft there, so I will pick the patch tool and I'll take some of this texture here and I will, let's do that the other way around. Let's take this soft texture here, let's come up into here, throw that in there. Obviously that's too excessive. Command Shift F or Control Shift F. I'll fade this, take the opacity down. Let's hide that selection. And let's just bring this up a little bit there. Then we've got some texture in the hair and we've filled that area nicely. Okay, what next? Okay, let's just work a little bit on the skin. Now, to be honest, in a regular fashion retouch, and if the output was going to go to Instagram, which to be fair, most of this stuff does go to Instagram, all I would be doing right now, like I could basically just get away with that. Like that could be quite easily sent off to the client, and that'd be it. It'd be done. It'd be fine. Because again, you know, when it's at this level, it looks beautiful. It looks good. Her face looks nice. There's no issues. But for the sake of this video and this tutorial, and also I would really love this picture, and it's going to be a portfolio picture. I'm going to put it on my website. I'm going to put it on my Instagram. I want to make this a little bit more refined. Okay, now this is quite important as well. There's always going to be work that is going to make portfolio, right? There's going to be work that you do which you really want to showcase. It might be different from what you've done before. It just might be something you really like. And the edit that you produce for that might be of a higher quality than what you might produce for, let's say, if it was just going to go as a very small picture on Instagram. You could get away with doing far less. But if it's something that you might print, if it's something that you might want to showcase on a website where the image is going to be bigger, then you might want to take a little bit more time and just refine the picture a little bit more. Okay, so you can see here we've got a little bit of white, a bit of red in here. All I'm going to do is I'm going to get a brush. I'm working on the same layer, it's fine. But for this, I'll work on another layer, blank layer. I'll pick this white here, and I'll just very lightly paint that same color over the red. I'll pick this light here, and I'll do the same here. Just gently running the Wacom pen over the surface, not going in too strong, and I'll come back out and have a look and see what we get. But before and after. Again, we've not gone in too much. I'm going to go in a little bit more in this corner. I'm just going to see if we can clean that up and still have it look relatively fine. Before, after. Okay. Let's come in here. Let's just lighten this area up a little bit. Let's try that again. I'm going to come down 30% on the opacity of the brush. A slightly bigger brush so we get a softer feather. And I'm going to just lighten this area up here. Now the dark area is obviously caused by the light being quite high, very harsh, and her own eyelash is casting a shadow on the surface of her eyeball. So let's turn that off, turn that on, and we've kind of cleaned up the eye. And it looks good, still looks natural, which is obviously important. I'm going to come over here, I'm going to try and clean this up a little bit. Let's find a lighter colour. I drop that, come up here. Let's just go in a little bit excessive and see what we get. Okay, a little bit too strong for my liking. Let's go back. We just need to get a happy medium here. I'll put this on a new layer, in fact, so that I can go in heavy and then I can just reduce the opacity. Okay, let's zoom out. Okay, let's take the opacity right down, and then let's just bring it up to the point where we're like, okay, that works for me, about 45%. Looks good. A little bit dark, a little bit brighter, a bit too strong. No, I like it. I think it's fine. I'll just tweak it a little bit. Okay, I think 40 is going to be the magic number. Okay, that's it. All right, so those are the eyes. I'm happy with that. I'm going to merge all that down. So I've got all of this happening. Next thing, what do I want to do? Skin looks good. I mean, look how nice the skin is, right? So nice. Okay, we can work with the lines on her neck. So what I'll do here is I'm going to bring up the frequency separation layer action. I'm going to come down to the low frequency. I'm going to pick up a mixer brush tool, flow 35, yeah, that's all good. And then I'm going to simply just do a little bit of running of the brush up and down on these areas. I think the brush is still quite hard. Let's have a look. Yeah, let's bring that down to a nice soft brush, make it a bit bigger. I'm just going to mix these pixels around, remove some of these dark lines, kind of blend it in a little bit. First, smooth out the skin, retaining the texture on the frequency layer. Then I'll get the patch tool just for the frequency layer, pick up this slightly darker piece here, and I'll just kind of remove some of these lines here. Got a little patch there, and this little area here, looks fine. I like the little moles on her neck. I'm going to leave a couple of these guys, just get rid of the ones on the chest, because they don't look like moles, they look more like spots. I'll leave this one, nice one here, and I'll leave that one there. So we've still got that element of a natural look. Let's just get rid of that there. And I'll come back down to the low frequency, get the brush, and I'll just do some nice circular movements and just remove some of that. And if we look at the before and look at the after, you know, we've not got rid of everything completely, but you know what? Actually, by not getting rid of everything completely, you actually make for having a better retouch, believe it or not. When it's not perfect, but it is perfect, when it's not, you know, 100%, you still retain this element of realism, which is important, I think. And I'm going to use the same low frequency, and I'm just going to smooth out any areas here where there's a bit of skin discoloration. I'm just going to push these pixels around a little bit. On the forehead, I'm just going to smooth this out here. Smooth that out there. I'm going to pull this around a little bit. Is this again? Try not to go too much. Bring this highlight across into the chin a bit more. Let's smooth that out there. Come up to the high frequency layer. I'm going to prick the patch tool. I'm just going to get rid of that little divot in the chin there just to straighten that out. Come back to the, and then pull that back in. Under the mouth looks good. This area looks clean. Now what I don't like is this here. It's just the way the light fell. But it actually looks like she's got spit on the side of her mouth. And I'm not feeling that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm happy with this. I'm going to put this here. You can see the before and after. Let's just quickly check that out. Yeah, nice smoothing. I'm happy. I'm going to merge that all down. And then I'm just going to get the patch tool. I'm going to select that. I'm going to drag it down in this dark area. Done. Okay, that's nice. Anything else? This little dot here, a bit too contrasty for me. Just get rid of that. And that dark area there. Okay, let's zoom out. Beautiful, look at that, nice. Okay, let's look at before, after. Right, it's not crazy, right? We're not gone insane. It's just enough, just enough. Okay, face I'm happy with. Couple of things I'm not totally happy with though are this. Number one, I don't want these branches actually coming along and touching her hand fully. So I'm going to actually shorten this branch. Branch? Leaf. It's not a branch, is it? It's a leaf. Let's just take it here. Let's just get rid of it from here. Let's just cut here. Okay, let's take this tip and let's add it a little bit in there. And let's clean that area up. Let's come here, zoom in. I'm just going to clean that up there. I'm going to take that part there. Okay. Nice. So we've got the branches, but they're not cutting into the hand. Anything else? Okay. There's one more thing I've just noticed here is we've got a little bit of a dark patch, which is kind of off-putting. So what I will do, I will just use my silky skin action, and which is basically a dodging and burning action. I can see here on the brighten layer, I'm just going to use a brush, set it to default, get it to about 5 pixels. I'm going to make sure the hardness is 0, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint, not with the mixer brush tool, I'm going to use a normal brush. I'm going to go to 5% flow, 100% opacity. I'm just going to paint white in this area here. I'm using this black and white check layer because it actually allows me to see those dark patches without being distracted by color. All I'm going to see now is value. I'm going to see light and dark values, and I can just refine this a little bit. And all I'm looking for is areas where light goes to dark. That transition, I want that transition to be nice and smooth. Okay, so we'll see, kind of clean that up. Let's turn off that layer. Okay, let's zoom out and let's see. Make sure we've not gone and made it too flat, which we haven't. I think that's quite good. I might bring it down a tad bit, maybe 80%. Okay, there we go. That's it. Now, anywhere else do I need to do an edit? Do I need to do a retouch? Is there anything I need to get rid of? Okay, let's get the patch tool. Let's just clean up any areas where there's some fluff. Some of the clothing has started to fray or anything like that. That is sometimes totally unavoidable. Again, this is really not massively necessary. You don't have to do this. I'm just doing it because I really like this picture and I want to spend a bit of time on it. and I'm sure you have pictures which you really like and you like spending time on. Now, I enjoy editing, generally speaking, depending on the shoot. If it's like just a boring old lookbook type of thing and they're on a white background and it's front, side, back posturing, posing, I'm just boring, Lightroom, batch edit, done job. Okay, here we've got a little bit of blue. Don't know what that is. We'll just use the patch tool, and you can see how good the patch tool is, right? Because it's so quick, and it's better than cloning. Cloning can be a pain, whereas a patch tool will retain the lovely texture that you need, and you'll get a good finish. I could work the arms a bit, right? I very rarely, like wrists and arms, do I work on, unless it's just colour to match colours. Otherwise, I'll leave it as it is. Okay, let's be really nitpicky. Let's get the stamp tool. Let's make sure this is perfectly straight. Okay, right, that's enough. All right, so that is the edit. Let's look. Let's just merge it all down into one layer. Let's just do a revert F12, go right back to the beginning, and this is where we're at now. Beautiful, right? Now, in terms of color grading, well, you can do whatever you want at this stage, I suppose. You can bring in your color balance if you wanted to. You could start to work with, midtones, highlights, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. For me, I ain't gonna do any of that. For me, the picture is done. I love the skin tones, they're nice and warm. The clothing is fantastic. I don't want to mess and manipulate the color of the clothing, because then you defeat the object of shooting fashion, because the client wants that orange to be orange. I don't want to change the background color. I love the background color. And that is the edit. I will just zoom into the face about here. We'll do an F12. See the before and then the after. And what I will do is I will make one more layer, and I'm going to use sharpening using Nick Collection output sharpener. Now, if you were a Nick user, you would probably realize it was free at one point, and then Google decided, or whoever bought Nick, I don't know who bought Nick software, they did decide to actually make it into a paid app. We'll update later. Let's zoom in here. And I always find the default sharpening is generally good enough. I'm just going to hit OK. I'm not going to go through how to use Nick. I'm just going to use it. Apologise, I'm just having a drink of water. Now, if we look at the before and the after, I love the sharpening on this program. It creates lovely sharpening without any of the artifacts, and you cannot tell that this eye is out of focus in any way, shape or form. That is it. That is the edit done. Hopefully you found the video useful. If I went through it far too quick, then I suggest go to check out some of my other videos on YouTube on how to edit. This was a relatively quick workflow. It would have been quicker if I wasn't talking to the mic. But earlier on, when I'd done the editing, that could have been it. But I went a little bit further and just tried to refine it a little bit more. So that is it. Anything I don't like, actually, just before we go, there are some things that are bugging me now. I'm going to merge that down. I'm going to get the spot healing brush. We're going to set that back to lighten. And I'm going to clean up these neck hairs, which I should have really looked at earlier. You might not have noticed them yourself. I've noticed them. I don't like them. So I'm going to scrap them out of the way. And what you'll notice now is this area has gone smooth. Let me zoom in. You can see where I've done the healing. It's gone smooth, right? How do we fix it? Patch tool. Healing brush and patch tool in combination are great. So let me come over to this smooth area. This is like here. This is all the smooth area. I'm going to drag it over to an area which has got normal texture. And we've brought texture back. Beautiful, right? Love the patch tool. Love it. Okay, let's tidy that up. Let's come back to our spot healing. Let's click on darken and let's tidy up some of these hairs. What is going on in here with the hair? It's all over the place, right? Got some light areas, some dark areas. Got some crosshairs. Oh, we could like go on forever and clean up all this hair and just make it all perfectly straight. What I will do is I'll get this stamp tool. I'm going to pick this area here. I'm going to put some of it in here and just try and fill this gap a little bit. How bad does that look? Not very good. Let me just try that again. I'll lift up and over. And let's get the patch tool again. Let's take this area here, which is starting to look a bit messy. Let's come down into this area of the hair. That's better. Let's pull some of this in. And let's take this over here. Okay. Let's get rid of that dark area there. Now some of you will be looking at this and going, oh my God, what a horrible workflow. He's just dragging and messing pixels up and he's not doing it the right way. We could do it this way and we could do it that way. You know what? Do it however you want. I really don't care. I'm just throwing this in quick, trying to get this done. Seeing what we've got. Yeah, it is a bit of a mess, I have to admit. Let's do an F12. That's how it was. That's what we've got now. It's definitely not perfect. If I wanted it to be perfect, I would actually start to draw in some hairlines. Equally, I might even, let's try something. Let's get the lasso tool, right? I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna take this hair here. Do a Control J, put this on its own layer, Control T. I'm going to drag this guy down here. Okay, I'm going to put this urgent, no one cares, you go away. Let's bring this in here. Let's turn this round. Let's increase the size. Because we've got some nice hair direction going on here. Let's run through some of the blending modes. Lighter color, no good. Let's stick with normal. Let's get a brush, get a mask. Make sure the brush is 100% flow. Let's set the brush to black. I'm going to blend this out here. Blend this out here. Let's see what we get. Okay. All right, let's zoom out. That's not too bad. Didn't really have to go through that whole process there. Let's remove the density of this mask to there. Let's increase the feather. Okay, around about there. That looks good. Before, after. Let's merge that down into the sharpen layer. And then let's just finally finish off by taking this light patch here and making it darker. This light patch here and making it a bit darker. Keeping some texture in the hair, some direction. Okay. I'll just blend out some of these edges a bit more. Zoom out again. Okay, I can live with that. It's not the best, but you know what? It'll do. Better than that. A lot better than that. Okay, let's zoom out. Again, I'm zooming out to here because I want to see what we've got. And there's just one more issue here. At this level, I'm just going to take this. Blend, there we go. Okay, there was just a little bit of a thing going on there that I didn't like too much. And if you actually wanted, you could always get a brush with a high hardness. Alternatively, I might use the hair strands brush that I've got. It's a custom brush. I can pick a new layer. Let's get the brush here, and I'll pick a light color like so, and you can always draw in some of the hair texture in the direction I want, and then I reduce the opacity. I'll just bring that back in over the top. As I zoom out, that hair direction is kind of brought back in a little bit. Okay, that's enough. Overdoing it now. Merge that down. Before, after looks good. Merge it all down. Let's merge that all down. F12. Before, after. Done. Got any questions? Just ask. You didn't like the retouch? Tough. You want to see more? Subscribe. If you want to make sure that you don't miss anything, then put your notifications on. Before we go though, one more thing. I'm going to select this area here. I'm going to do a quick save first on the desktop. Let's save that out. I'm going to go filter, liquify. I'm going to get my mouse because I can't use my Wacom when I'm doing this. It goes all weird. I'm going to push, pull just a little bit. I'll pull that in. Oh, don't want to mess with that because I didn't pick enough. Pull this in and then click OK. There we go. And we've just kind of round that area a little bit. You can see F12 kind of pulled that in nice, finished it off wonderfully. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.